What's going on YouTube? It's Phil here back with another video. So it's 61 days here, semen retention, no slip, slop, fap, apps or relapse for me. So going pretty well, and just finished my 20-minute morning meditation and gratitude journal, and I started to add in prayer. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. I've done a little bit of prayer, and now I'm adding in quite a bit more. So if you followed the channel a little bit, I've been through addiction recovery. No, I won't name the fellowship because it's anonymous. But as part of that, it kind of reintroduced me back into the idea of a higher power, God, whatever you want to think of it as. This is not a particularly religious channel, but I started praying again a little bit. And particularly there's a prayer, the third step prayer. If you know it, you can look it up, which is pretty useful for sort of staying on the path and asking for direction. It's a good reminder in the morning of how to frame the day. But I found recently I've been moved towards going back over my past, because I was raised Lutheran, and if you don't know what Lutheranism, it's a form of the Protestant denomination, which is an offshoot of Catholicism, which of course it all falls under the banner of Christianity. But Lutheranism's Martin Luther back in the 1400s broke away from the, or was it 1600s? 1600s. Broke away from the Catholic Church, and sort of, it's still Christianity, but he sort of stripped it back and removed a lot of the dogma and tradition. And there's arguments for and against that I'm not going to get into. But the point is, I was raised as a Lutheran, and went through 12 years of Lutheran education. And I'm going to make another video about what happened to me, because I kind of lost my faith when I was 14. And this is around about the time, or this is the time that I started getting into PMO and all that stuff. All these things sort of happened around the same time, when they were around the time that I lost my faith. And I don't think that's coincidence. And this is when corn and everything became a big factor in my life, and everything went wrong. I've been trying to unpack that sort of recently and sift through the debris of that, because I've come a long way since then. I've sort of found my way back to, not that I'm not religious. I don't go to church. I don't God bother people, but I do believe in something greater than myself, a higher power, God, the good orderly direction, the God, whatever you want to call it, something that is greater than me. I believe in that. And through recovery, I kind of found my way back to being able to step into a church, because I couldn't even step into a church for a long time. And particularly the church, there's a whole backstory to this that I won't go into, but particularly the church that I had my religious upbringing in as a kid, my school church. Some bad stuff went down, and I turned my back on everything. And it took me a long time, and I mean a long time, like 20 years, at least 20, to find my way back. And I've kind of started to find my way back, and I really got lost around the age of 14. This is when everything went wrong. I changed schools. I dropped out of soccer. I stopped going to scouts. My academics slipped. I got depression. I started messing around with booze and drugs, and definitely all the corn stuff was coming in. It was not a good time for me, and it got really dark at one point. I won't go into it too much now, but this all kind of happened when I was 14 in ninth grade. So the very start of high school, just out of middle school. And I don't think it's coincidence that this was the same time that corn became a big factor, and I totally turned my back on my faith. And only to say that I believe in something greater than myself. And when I've turned my back on that, I put myself at the forefront of everything. And that's when all the problems start, rather than realizing there's something bigger than myself and being of service to others in society. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not here to preach at anybody. This isn't a sermon. This isn't trying to get people into get you religion or anything. Like, everyone's got to find their own way. And I almost believe that people, or some people, have to lose their way to appreciate what they had. And I think that's kind of what's happened for me. So I've actually recently started reading the Bible a little bit again. And I'm not going to start spouting Bible verses, don't worry. It's not about that. But it's only to say I'm trying to get more in touch with my spiritual side, because this whole SR thing, the whole semen retention thing, it's not just about not doing something. And that's more the NoFap mentality, right? NoFap is don't relapse, don't relapse, don't relapse. It's like you're almost focusing on what you don't want, whereas semen retention kind of goes a bit more the other way. It's like, rather than focusing on don't do that, don't do the FAP, we're focusing on preserving, conserving some energy. And but it's like, yeah, but for what? What are you conserving your energy for? Like, it's like the person who saves up their money their whole life and then dies, sitting on a fortune under their mattress and never spends it. There's no point in doing that. The whole point of semen retention is you're conserving your energy for something else. It's not just to indefinitely conserve your energy, because if you do that and you die with all that energy that you've saved, you've essentially squandered it. So whether you're saving that extra energy up to have children or get on some sort of purpose or some combination of that, you're basically managing your energy better. That's what it's really about. It's not just about abstaining indefinitely. That's not going to go anywhere. And I've sort of realized that, but I've found myself being drawn to pray more and get more in touch with having more of a personal relationship with my higher power, God, whatever you want to call it. I'm not too fussed. I believe that everyone's got their own kind of relationship with that and interpretation of that. But I did want to mention that because I've actually found it useful and comforting. And I've also had to confront the fact that I think I was a bit naive. All this corn stuff, all this behavior, and there's stuff going on in LA at the moment. LA seems to be the epicenter in the West of a lot of bad behavior, depravity. Hollywood seems to be at the center of that. There's a lot going on. These people are not role models. They're not to be admired. These people are not doing good things. They're doing some of the most depraved, despicable stuff. I've just lost any interest in people in those circles, or people who hold those people up to be in any sort of esteem. They're not good, godlike, moral people. They're just, and I'm generalizing here, I'm sure there's good people there, but all this stuff that's going on there at the moment is the culmination of people turning their backs on morality. And this isn't gonna be some sort of sermon and be like, oh, you need to get with Jesus. And if that is what your calling is, fine. But I just mean this to say that all this, LA is the hub of corn. That's like where most of it actually comes from. And the people there, that city, people go there to basically, they tell themselves that they're going there to follow their dreams. They're actually losing themselves spiritually by going to this place and seeking out fame and fortune and excess. And it's just, a lot of it is just moral depravity. And I just believe as a culture, we need to stop holding these people up as any kind of role models or, people to aspire to be like. A lot of them are lost. They have no idea what they're doing, this standard they're setting for other people, and they're not to be held up in esteem. I'm losing interest in their music, their movies. I don't want to support that in any way. I'm more interested now in local art, just art done by regular people expressing themselves without all this this whole culture of, it's just really, it's sick. The culture's sick, and I don't want anything to do with it. And I guess this is to say that I think I've been a bit naive. I just thought, I always was bombarded with the good, godly love side in my upbringing with my faith. And there was mention of sin, but I don't think they ever really fully impressed on me just how evil society can be, which is to say that there is evil in this world. It's real. There are evil forces. I believe in higher powers. I do believe in something greater than myself, whether you want to call it God. I believe in other entities. I believe, whether you want to call them angels or spirits, whatever you want to call them. And there's good and there's bad. And I think I've underestimated the evil forces in this world. And I really have to take stock of that, because I've lost the chronology of the timeline, what happened to me as a kid. It's so long ago, and I was on, I was drinking, as memories fogged, and I was under a haze of corn and all this stuff. I can't remember the chronology of what happened when, but I think this all kind of happened at the same time. So I think that around about the time I lost my face is when I got into all this stuff that just was not healthy, and it was sick, and I shouldn't have been doing, and I lost my way. I lost my way spiritually, and I don't think anyone really impressed on me that there's evil in this world that is trying to pull you away from your higher purpose. Whether you call it God, whatever you want to call it, there are forces in this world that are trying to proactively disrupt you on your path. And that is not to be underestimated. That's kind of what I've been reflecting on a lot in this week. And I've really had to take stock of my part in that, and turning my back on my faith, and just allowing culture, a sick culture, to dictate what I've been doing with my life. And really, ever since I did that, everything in my life really took a turn for the worse in a big way. And I was not happy, and I have not been happy for a long time. And just to acknowledge that, and I'm, in the last 5 years particularly, I've found some form of faith again, and I'm trying to reconnect with that. So I'm adding in prayer for myself, not for anybody else, not to go to somewhere on a Sunday and sit with a bunch of people in a room, but not that there's anything wrong with that, but for myself, for that Bible verse, be still and know that I am God. It's just about being okay with myself sitting there and knowing that there is a higher power or a higher something there. That's all it is. And it's a personal thing. I'm not asking anybody else to agree with me. This is just my own personal experience. But, these religions that have existed, Judaism, Christianity, for thousands of years, I know I definitely threw the baby out with the bathwater, because what happened to me. But there's a lot of good stuff in there. There was some not good stuff. Don't get me wrong. There was some really bad stuff going on in the church, and in my church in particular. The worst stuff you can think of. I won't go into that now, but I threw the baby out with the bathwater, and now I'm trying to reclaim that good stuff, because there was a lot of good stuff that I just turned my back on, and that's when everything went wrong around that time. And I don't think that's coincidence. So anyway, 61 days. I don't want to make this too long a video, but I've just reconnected a bit with prayer. I've said 3 different prayers this morning after my meditation, my gratitude journal, and that's really helped set the tone of the day. I'm going to leave it there for this video. So if you're tuning in, super grateful you're tuning in. We're starting to get a couple more subs now. Not that that's what it's about on this channel. So if you're trying semen retention, or you're thinking about it, if you're 0 days, 1 day, 10 days, 1,000 days, doesn't matter. Drop a comment below. We're all in this together. We're going to help and support each other. If you're struggling, if you're crushing it, if you're having wins, if you've had setbacks, drop a comment below and let us know how you're going. I'm going to leave it there. I've got to get to work, but thanks for tuning in. Super grateful. I'll see you on the next video.